Hello and welcome to Jesus is the Key to Reentry. Come on in, everyone. Come on in as you are welcome. It's another Thursday night. It's another Thursday night, another episode for Jesus is the Key to Reentry. I'm just so excited as always. You know, I tell you all the time that this is one of the best guests. My aunt tell me every week, she said, that was the best guest you've had. That was the best guest she had. So I know she's going to tell me again on tonight that this is the best guest. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited that she's here with me and to join us on a podcast. So I got to give you a couple of announcements and a couple of updates on what's going on with Jesus is the Key to Reentry and the Compassionate Advocate. But what I want you to do, for those of you who haven't subscribed, go to YouTube and make sure you type in Jesus is the Key to Reentry and subscribe to our page. Please do that for me. Go to Jesus is the Key to Reentry on YouTube and subscribe to our page. There's another announcement that I want to share with you, and it's the Compassionate Advocate. And we are launching a nonprofit. We are starting. God is opening up doors. He's making ways. But I do want to say that it comes with a price. I don't like asking nobody for nothing. So I said, God, what can I do? Because you know that's not who I am. I don't ask, I don't beg. But someone donated as a 50-inch TV. Okay. So we got a 50-inch smart TV, and we are raffling it off. Okay. So we got one ticket is for $5. Three tickets is for $10, and five tickets are for $20. So you can be put in to get this free TV, and we'll make sure you get it. I think we're going to the end of this month with it. But on the right behind my name, you'll see my Cash App is the ad for the Compassionate Advocate. And so you can send the amount, and of course we'll have your name, so your ticket will be put in the drawing based off the dollar amount that you put in, or if you just want to make a donation. You know, we're starting up, and I'm believing God, and that's how I'm starting it. I'm starting it believing God. I believe God has put the right people in place for me, so to help me do what I want to do. And basically, I'll tell you what the Compassionate Advocate is actually just a reentry ministry, and I'm gonna put ministry because that's what I do. That's what God's called me to do, is to do ministry. And I want to be there for people who's coming out of prison. And I want to link them up with some people that's going to support them, people that's going to ride with them, and people that's going to be there with them. And here's Moses. You're saying good morning because you're in Nigeria. So good morning, good evening to you, Moses. But yeah, so check us out. Go to Jesus is Key to Reentry Facebook page. You can go to the Compassionate Advocate Facebook page. And you can see I should have got the flyer up for tonight, but for whatever reason, my mind didn't do it. But definitely go to our pages and you can see. And like I said, that the Cash App is there if you want to make a donation to the ministry or to be placed in for the drawing. Okay. So I don't talk enough there. So now I want to bring in our guest. And I do have, this is a beautiful lady that I met. Matter of fact, close to my year of coming out of prison. I got out in 2020, and it was right behind there, maybe 21, that I was introduced to this beautiful young lady. And so I'm just so happy. So if you're tuning in, I want you to do me a favor and share this podcast, because I do believe she has a word for a lot of people. Okay. So share it with your family, share it with your friends, because we're getting ready to hear some good things. You Pass, thank you for joining us this evening. So come on in, Miss Kristy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
Yes, I am so happy. I feel like this is a long time coming, but you know,
Definitely.
God is timing. His
I
timing is good.
can't believe it's been 4 years since
Yes,
we spoke like on a podcast like this.
yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it as I was getting. I said, you know what? And I'm just going back through just the timing and the interview that you did for me and my sister, you and
Yeah.
Alex, when we was talking about for the Freedom Exchange, right? That's what it
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
So it's just delightful to see you again and to have you with me. So I want to start with the first question that I have, and it is: can you tell our listeners a little bit about who Kristy Laschober is? Tell us about who are you? What are you doing today? Who are you today?
Who am I today? Boy, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm a woman of freedom.
Mm,
I have worked really hard on myself and transforming and learning about who I am and where my place is in the world, really, since I've been out. And I'm somebody who loves the work that I do. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I say that right now, like, I think God has me on this earth just to love people.
hmm Just to love people.
Yeah,
Just to
what a
love
gift.
people. Yeah, talk about that for a minute. Just to love people. What does
Yeah.
that look like to you?
I think because I have done so much work on myself in regard to, it's just me. So I'm single, and so I've been alone, and that has given me space to, look at what I like and what I don't like, and choose to be around positive people. And so what that does is really, it's had me um, begin to love myself deeply, so that now I don't judge anybody. I mean, of course I'm human, sometimes I do, but for the most part my heart just loves people, because I know everyone is doing the best they can for where
Mm,
they are right now, and
mhm.
I don't have to have anybody be a certain way in order for me to be okay. So I just get to love them, because I feel like I give so much love to myself and I get a lot of love from others, so I just get to share that. And that's such a gift. I never was that way. So this is like a new thing over the last couple years.
So you said that I get to love myself. So have
Yeah.
you always been like that where you just loved yourself?
No,
Okay, so what changed? How did Christy start loving herself?
it changed because when I ended up in prison, I was forced to face where I was. I thought, how did I end up here? Why am I here? I have a great family. I had support. Yes, I've had things to deal with in my life, like everybody else in the whole planet does. I had medical issues as a child, so I was in the hospital a lot. I used Demerol and all sorts of opioids to mask pain, and so I didn't even know who I was inside when one of the ladies said, you're a flawed human being. I said, no, I'm not. And I realized, well, duh, yeah, you are. That was how strong I didn't want to appear flawed. But now, then you're in prison for 5 years and you're thinking, well, wow, I'm here. And so I started to write. That's really, I think, the catalyst. I just wrote about my thoughts and feelings, and I'm realizing I'm a human and I have a lot to offer, and God loves me so much. And so it just kind of evolved over the last maybe 7 years.
Oh wow. I'm a piggyback off of what you said a little bit later,
Mm-hmm.
but the title of our podcast is From Prison to Purpose: Breaking Chains Through Education. And
Mm.
I want to talk a little bit about that when you're saying breaking chains through education. Why is that so important to you? How did you feel that this need to be done? I remember years ago, you remember they used to say that a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. And before we came on, you said education is freedom. So,
Education is freedom.
so talk
Yes.
about how education is freedom.
And well, I know that there's a vast array of education. It can be vocational training or, college, your GED, all those things. But what I found is whenever you educate yourself or take the time to look to see what you're capable of, then you would be surprised by how much we can do and how smart we really are. And when you learn that, it creates this wonder of like, what else am I capable of? And
Hmm.
so I didn't have any college inside the prison. I went after I got out. My reentry court judge strongly nudged me to go back to school, and so I did, even though I thought I was too old. And she told me all the reasons I'm not too old for like 20 minutes. And so I went to the college, I signed up. I was afraid, just shame and all that stuff. And one by one, class by class, test by test, I just learned that, hey, I'm smart, you know? And I shared a little bit of my story, tiny bits here and there, and it really opened so many doors and disintegrated shame. And I was like, wow, like this is what I've always wanted in my whole life, is to feel like that intrinsic value. And I just kept saying, what else can I achieve? And it kept going and going and going. And I didn't have to hide anymore, hide who I was, hide where I was, hide my mistakes. And it was such a beautiful thing. I never knew that existed. And so now I do work. I helped pass a law in Oregon to remove the criminal history box on all college applications, public and private, with help from Noel Vest, who asked me if I would do that. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but I figured it out and asked people. And so what we learned through data is that the recidivism rate is between 50 and 70% within 3 years. But if someone just gets their associate's degree, it goes down to 16%. So 50 to 70% to 16. If they get their bachelor's, I think it's 6%. Master's is like 0.0001.
Wow.
So that's a no-brainer for me, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. If you want safety in your neighborhood, if you want to, raise humanity, if you want to help the person that probably needed help when they were a child and didn't get it, we can help them just by presenting an opportunity. And then they have to do all the work, which is great. And they do the work and they're like, holy moly, I'm smart. And then they do it, they keep going, and then they go back to those that are inside and help them, so for me, that's a no-brainer. So
and in education, I remember going in school, and sometimes when you don't study and you don't do good on your tests, it does something to your self-esteem.
totally.
It does something to your self-worth.
Yeah.
But then when you start passing the test and when you know the answers, it builds you up, and then you could help somebody else with it.
Yeah.
You could help somebody else with it. So I believe it definitely plays a big part in our freedom,
It does.
internally as well.
Well, mainly internally, I think you're right. It's internally. It makes me very emotional still. Like my most poignant moment was I had to take a math class, right? And it had been 30 years. So I took the pre-test, and the professor gave it back to me, and he wrote on the bottom, like, maybe you should like go down to a lower class. And I was like, I'm not going to a lower class. I don't have time. Like, I got to hurry and get through all this. So I got a tutor, and he helped me, and he was a young guy. He was probably 16 years old. He helped me, and I studied because I wanted to do well, and I had time, and I felt, I don't know, I just was older, and I was in that space to really work hard at it. And I did the test and turned it in, and when he handed it back, he handed it upside down and kind of gave me a look. And I was like, I said, oh shoot, at least get a C, Kristy, just get a C. And then I looked and I got an A+. I got 100. I was looking around like, what? I started crying. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was so like, wow, there's so much out there for you, Kristy. Like, okay, let's go. Let's see what else I can do, So that was a catalyst to see what else I was capable of. And that's what I want to give as many people as I know, that same opportunity.
Right. Now let's talk about did you program while you was incarcerated? Did you have to take classes and different things? Because now as we're talking, it's starting to make a little sense why they was offering these classes and programs while we're incarcerated. Can you talk about a little bit about that maybe, or did you?
Yeah, there was a program, something you could take called Shark Week, where you learn about sharks.
Sharks?
sharks. And
Okay.
I don't know why that was important. They had a national park week. I thought a lot of women in here are never getting out, and you're showing them all the places they can never go. I didn't understand that.
Okay.
I was an RDAP, which was a fiasco for me, specific, personally, and that's it. There was no school or anything in there for me,
Oh,
for us there.
wow.
Yeah.
So because we talked about how it would build up our self-esteem, it would build up our self-worth. So bringing education into prison,
Yeah.
allowing people to whether it's a higher education or just getting their GED or
Right.
whatever. I do believe that would build their self-worth up to know that they achieved something. Wow.
Yes, and that's why. So I work with NASFA right now, and I work as a prison education assistant. So we help colleges and universities get the financial aid they need, or not get the financial aid, but help them through the process of getting financial aid to bring college inside the prisons.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get out, they either go right into like a higher degree, or get a job, or whatever. But yeah, so that's what I do now.
Okay, so let's go back to the checkbox, and it was a question. Why was removing the checkbox so important, and how did it feel when the change was finally made in Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's so important because you're already going to, like, when you go to school, you just got out of prison, or you've been out for a long time, and that felony thing always comes up no matter what. If it's federal,
mm-hmm,
never goes away unless you get a pardon from the
mm-hmm,
president. And I didn't have to check that box on my application, but I did when I filled out scholarships.
mm-hmm.
And so when you put that, you check if you have ever been incarcerated or you have a felony, you check that box, and then they say explain, and they give you like maybe this much space. So how do you explain trauma? How do you explain your accountability? How do you explain all that in one sentence?
Right.
And so what happens is 60% of the people that come to that box don't continue because they think that they're not going to get in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. So if people that box was mainly just to be accepted into the college. However, if they go into housing, things like that, there's another another application, and they'll ask about your history, and that's fine, but at least let me get into college, or let me have the opportunity to be accepted.
Right.
And it felt great when it got passed. It
I,
was yeah, it was great.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about your faith a little bit, and I know let's talk about. We talked about your freedom, that you're a woman of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like, from a faith point, as a woman of freedom?
I believe that, for me, I believe that God lives inside me, though there's no separation.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the highest Kristy, like the one that is the best decision maker, that makes the best decisions, that's the kindest, that's the most loving, that's God working inside me. So there's no separation. So I'm never just trying to please God outside of me. I'm trying to please God in me. So I'm actually trying to please myself. So I work and walk and live from a higher place. And that's not I'm better than, that's just what's happened since I feel like, God's inside me. I was in church when I first got out, and that song, like, Lord, you are worthy. And in my head, I heard God say, like, Kristy, I know I'm worthy. Tell yourself that. I was like, okay, Kristy, you are worthy. And then I had tears, like, yes, I need to tell myself that. He knows that,
Right.
So yeah, so it feels there's no separation. Although I love the church that I go to, however, God's with me all day, every day, morning, noon, and night.
Most definitely. So here we are. We're with Kristy Laschober. Am I saying it?
Laschober, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. So we're here with her on tonight, and we're talking about from freedom to purpose, breaking the chains through education. And she's sharing with us why education is so important to her and the different things that she's done far as removing that checkbox off of college educate applications,
Mhm.
which I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like I always skipped over that before I got the job that I have now. I
Okay.
just skipped over it. I said, if they ask me, they ask me. If they don't, they don't. You know, even with education and different things, because it's like that's going to play a purpose of you keep going down the rest of my application or not, or if you
Mhm.
look at my resume or not, because you see that. So I do believe that knowledge is power. I believe that freedom, because and this podcast is for the church and it's for, and when I mean the church, I'm talking about people, not the building,
Mhm.
because a lot of them don't know.
Right.
A lot of them don't know the importance of why we're doing what we're doing.
Mhm.
And so that's what she's here tonight, is to share. You talked a little bit about your faith, and I remember right at the beginning, you told me that your faith may be a little different from more the majority of us, or did you, or correct me if I'm wrong, or how did you?
Well, it's not. I don't know that it's different. I just feel religion, I know, has hurt people. And
Yes.
so, just because it's made up of parishioners that are humans. So,
Right.
anytime a human's involved, whether it's a priest, a parishioner, or, pastor, it's a human. So, they're going to make mistakes.
Hmm.
So, I feel for me, I just feel like God is love, Jesus is love. So, as long as I come from a place of love, then I don't have to say Jesus is the only way to people that I am trying to connect with. It's just love. And if they see the love in me, they may want to know, hey, like, why can you feel this peaceful? Or I'm saying, hey, I always post about church, and my church, come, anyone want to come, they can come. But I don't really talk about the particulars, because that's just my journey. And
Right.
if you're interested or curious, let's go. But I don't want to, like those that put like the Bible out first and then meet me. No, that's over here. God can do so much, way more, if
Yes.
your heart is open and curious. But when you
Right.
put the Bible out first, for me, it just is like, even if I'm curious, I'll be like, ooh, it doesn't feel authentic. And
And it's because
first, so go, no, go
no,
ahead.
it's because you're showing them that love. That's what's going to draw them there. You
Yeah, I
know,
hope so.
that's what would draw them there, or their, or the consistency in who you are. You know, and what you're doing. It's a scripture that says, "Let your light so shine before
Mm,
men that they'll see your good works in heaven." So you can see the light that's already there. You can see there's something different about Christy.
yeah.
There's something
Well, yeah, yeah. That's, and when I was in the first prison in Rhode Island, it was new there, and I could like barely breathe, like what, I was still in shock and everything that was going on. And there was a lady, she was like 90 something, I believe. And she came in for church, and in its little room. So I just went in to try to get some relief. And she was Catholic, and I said, I don't really believe in saints, because she had cards of saints and stuff.
different.
And she said, that's okay. And I said, I feel like if I wanted, like, I was trying to say all the things I don't believe in. She goes, and she kept saying, that's okay, honey. And then finally she said, you know what? I said, I'm not finding Jesus in jail. That
Hmm.
sounds disgusting. You hear about people inside. I'm not going to be that girl. And instead of acting any way, she said, Kristy, she said, that's okay, honey. She said, this is where he has your undivided attention.
Mm.
And I said, okay. It resonated with me when she said that. I was like, okay, you're right. He does here. And so I love that she didn't push her um, Catholic faith on me at all. She just, and those that didn't come into the room for church, she would walk out and just say hello. And I love that. That was my first really good example. And I've had others in my family that just love.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what I
Amen.
do. Amen.
Perfectly flawed. When I saw your book come out, I said, wow. I said, that's me. You know what I'm saying?
So
Because I try to be. everything for everybody. I try, and I felt that the Christian faith wasn't for me because I constantly messed up. I felt like I couldn't do this. I was trying to live up to somebody else's expectation. And then here it comes. I'm perfectly flawed. Tell
Mm.
us about that. Tell us about your journey and why you started writing this book and what this perfectly flawed means to you.
I started writing it to discover why the heck I ended up in prison. Why did I do what I do? Why did I succumb to addiction? And why did I commit a crime and sell drugs and I didn't need to? Why did I follow this man? All the things. And so I just wrote, and that gave me some peace. And so when I was in the RDAP program, um, I had said that the lady said to me, "You're a flawed human being." And I was like, "No, I'm not."
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came out of my mouth, I'm like, "Well, that's dumb. Of course I'm a flawed human being." But I was so conditioned to not have flaws, or not make mistakes and all of those things. And so that's why I wrote about it. I decided I'm just going to be transparent about who I am, about my experiences, about my feelings, because I met so many beautiful women in prison that have different experiences. I told my mom, this is a trauma hospital in here. This is
Mm-hmm.
not evil people. Like this, like anyone that would get 20 years, a woman in 20 years, you would think, I mean, I don't want them anywhere near me, but that's not the case at all. So I just wrote about my own transformational story and my feelings. And then it's because I believe in writing, I ask the reader questions at the end of every chapter and encourage them to write about their feelings. And when I speak, I'm talking to my old self because like you said, have I always been free or love myself? Heck no. It's been a journey and a struggle and a pain to unlearn so much and get rid of the conditioning that I thought I had to people please. I thought I had to be, do all these things to be okay. I remember a counselor said to me once, he said, "Kristy, do you realize you just sitting in this chair doing nothing is whole, complete, and perfect?" I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
was like, I mean, I could not relate to that in any capacity because I thought I always had to be doing, achieving, being all these different things. And that's not true,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wrote it. I wrote it to help other people see that they also are perfectly flawed as they are right now, and they can stop hiding, especially women, because they're powerful. We are so powerful and loving and beautiful and all the things. If we could just disregard all our old conditioning, then it would be an amazing world.
Wow. You stated something that is kind of sticks with me,
Hmm.
how you didn't want to appear flawed.
Right.
You
It's
know,
appearance.
yeah, and because we're trying to please other people or look good in somebody else's eye, and then guess what? We wake up in federal prison. You know,
Right. And
and
that's like as low as you can go before death. So it's like I'm trying to be this, not flawed human being, and then I'm in prison. It's like, wow, that's a whole range
yes,
of perfect prison. It's like, so yeah. So I had to figure out what the heck I was doing there and all of that.
yeah, it's so good to be free. It's
Mm,
so good to be and physically free, yes, spiritually free, yes, mentally and emotionally free. You know,
mm.
and sometimes and I told somebody I still go to therapy. I
Yeah,
do.
that's
I'm not even like, yes, I still go through therapy because there's so many things that I've been through in the course of my 50 years
yeah,
that I it's called trauma.
yeah,
It's called trauma, and it's called some things that and a lot of times people don't want to talk about the things that they've been through or that they experience until you're in a situation and you realize I'm not the only one.
right.
Like, I
Yeah,
can just be me. I can just, here it is, what you see is what you get. And being as as you call a woman of freedom, it brings a level of peace.
Mm. And isn't that what it's all about? Peace.
Yeah, it brings
Absolutely.
a peace. So perfectly flawed is a that title catches. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Because
Mhm.
we want to be perfect, but then because we don't
Flawed.
want to be, but look, boom. So
Yeah.
what you basically is what you see is what you get.
That's it. But we have to embrace that in ourselves.
Yes.
We have to look at all our flaws, and that's why I still write in the morning when I journal. I write the date, and I write how much I weigh, just because I moved to New Orleans and the food here is amazing. So I got to keep track, just check as it's watching it go up. But then I say, that's okay. Then I write, okay, Kristy, we're up a few pounds. Okay, that's okay. Well, you had fun last night, didn't you? Yes, I did. I just have this little date with myself.
Mhm.
And at the end, I say, Kristy, I love you. You're doing such a good job, and I'm so proud of you. I would have never said that
Right,
in a
right.
million years. I would have thought that was conceited. I would have things that women kind of are taught to not be. I would have maybe say, oh, someone else is, I love them and they're doing a great job. But for myself, it's like we have to give that to ourselves.
Hmm.
And then, but when I first got out, I started writing in the beginning because I had nothing. I lost everything. I wrote, God, help me be a light in someone's life and help me be of service. Because I could do those two things. I had no home, no clothes, no nothing, but I could say, help me be a light and help me be of service. And I could do that. So that gave me a little bit of value, I thought.
Wow. What would you say right now to women that's sitting behind bars right now wondering if her life can still have meaning?
Mm. I think right now would be the beginning of your life. This is the beginning. You have a chance to look at reality as is, not your perception of it. Look at reality as it is. Take your pen and paper and just write it out, but also have a lot of grace and compassion for yourself and
Hmm.
figure out what you want to do, what brings you joy, and find people. Open yourself to people that may not look like you, that may not be, in your same socioeconomic group, that may be older, younger, anything. It doesn't matter. I found the best people are people that I would have never met if I wasn't completely open. And they
Mm.
just bring so much goodness and cheering on and help me see things in a different way and help me also wonder, oh, that's a cool thing. Oh, maybe I could do that. Be open. And anytime you're feeling bad about yourself or shame, have somebody that you can call and say, hey, can you remind me of my power? Can you remind me how that I'm valuable? And because that those kinds of things come up for everybody, even not someone that's incarcerated. And
Right.
just remind me of my power, and they'll remind you. They will talk truth, they will talk prayer into you, and you're like, okay, thank you, I needed that. And I think we're always so afraid. I was always so afraid to share any sort of pain or sadness or fear or anything like that. But now that just makes me human, and I expect others to feel like that as well.
So did you come out that way? Did you feel like, because while you was journaling while you was inside as well, right?
Yeah.
And so you're speaking to yourself and encouraging yourself. So when you came out, do you know you still
When I came out, I was like, oh man, what the heck? like 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 I thought my life was over.
okay.
I thought that I was just like shamed beyond belief, and I had no clue what the future held. I had no, like, if you told me what my future, like if I showed myself my future as it is now, I would be like, there's no way.
Mhm.
So no, I wasn't that way. I had a lot of shame, and but the thing is, I didn't get a lot of, well, I got help from my family, but I worked hard. Like, I had the grit. I took the bus, even though my mom was like, "Here, I'll drive you," and I said, "No, I'll take the bus. I needed some independence." So I worked hard at it. And that I worked hard and had support, and that's why I was able to achieve the things that I have. And I feel like I shared a lot too, so
Right.
that kind of helped. But yeah.
So based off you now, based off you determined, I mean, you realize that I'm perfectly flawed. What would you say to yourself the day you got out of prison? Now, then.
Hmm. Hmm. I would say to myself just to continue understand giving myself grace and compassion. That's number one. Grace and compassion, stick with your curiosity and look around. Don't close any doors, don't close anything off, don't close any people off. And start figuring out what you like, what you want, what are you about, not you and your family or you and your husband or you and your partner or you and your kids, you, just you. And
Hmm.
when you start from that place, you can evolve with your true self, so then everything else kind of just fits instead of, you know, not fitting and going in a direction that you're like, dang, I'm leaving myself again. I keep leaving myself for all these other people. That's not their fault. It's my fault. I'm doing it. So yeah, never leave yourself. Always be honest with yourself and find people that will cheer you on, that you can admire and cheer on as well.
Awesome. And love yourself.
Love yourself. Yeah.
Love yourself. Just,
Hmm.
just like we can give the love out to so many people,
Hmm.
but it's hard for us to give it to ourselves.
It
It's
is, and that's why I still write every morning, because it's not an easy thing to do. It Most of the things we do, it's intentional. You have to keep practicing it. So it's
Mhm.
not like, oh, I love myself. I write, I love you, Kristy. You're doing a great job. I am proud of you. I write that every day just to be like, okay, are we in tune? Are we in check? Okay, good.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
So what's next for Kristy?
Boy, here's what I say. I say I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. This I don't know if this makes sense, but to me, I feel like my life is like a roller coaster, and my hands are up, like woo, and I'm just on a roller coaster, and we'll see where God takes me, whatever way He takes me, because I know that what His decision or His opening doors are way better than I could have ever imagined. I have desires, I think, that are put in by Spirit, but I I'm I'm going with the flow and
Mm,
curious still. I'm seeing, what's around. So I'm I'm writing another book. I'm doing speaking, traveling, and just seeing what God has next.
that's it. Just going with the flow. I'm on the ride with him.
Okay, girl. All right.
On the ride
we're in
with
the front, hands up.
him. That's awesome. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
and thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for opening up with us as well. Because sometimes I know you say you don't get to share your faith as much as you desire, but
Right. I don't.
um, but here you have that opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's my number one relationship.
mhm.
Period.
And if you didn't say anything else, in relation to that, it's just love.
Mm,
It's a scripture that says, "Love God with all of your heart, all your soul, and all your might, and
mm.
love your neighbor as yourself."
If we achieve that, then we've won the prize
Mm,
as we're doing, this life. Yes.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
makes life so, um, should I say, so much easier. You
Yeah,
know,
it
um,
is.
the
It
struggle.
is. Yeah, and I also feel like when there's negativity around, it doesn't it I don't care for it. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
saying kumbaya, everything's beautiful in the world, but when people are have negative or talking about people or whatever, it just goes against my soul, and I don't want to be around it. So
Right,
then
right,
I can, not they're on their journey, but that doesn't sit right with me. So I'm gonna go over here, and because I want peace and freedom and love.
right. And just that. And I'm going to love myself more. I'm currently in school. I'm currently.
You are?
Yes,
Oh
and
my
taking, and I started, then I stopped because I just got so busy, and
God.
then I said, you know what, I'm going to continue doing it on, even taking like training,
Yeah.
getting courses, anything that can help me achieve and do the things that God has called me to do,
It's
you know.
perfect. I love that.
And what it's doing is challenging me a little, because some things I haven't done in a while, and you got to get that mind retuned. But I will share this and with you, Chris. I
Hmm.
don't like the journal, and I'm a
Most
writer,
people
but I
don't.
don't like the journal.
Most people don't. And I did it for many years before. Like I would have friends and people that would recommend writing, and I did it. But I know what it is. I'm pretty certain I know what it is. It's because, and a lot of people will say, Kristy, I don't want to know what's all inside me. And I
Mm,
said, yeah, but you're already doing life from that position. So you might as well cozy up to it, look inside to see what's all going on in this body and this mind and your heart, because you're doing it anyway. We all see it, but
mm-hmm,
you don't see that. And it's a facade when we think, oh, I have to look at all the scary thing, if that's what you're coming from. But if you're coming from a place of, hey, I have all this power, like God's given me all this, I am power. And this is a new thing. I mean, that's why I'm so excited about it, because I have found something so wonderful. So it's like we have all this power. And so if we right to like harness it and see what's inside, and then sometimes stuff comes out, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even think about that. But
mm-hmm,
that the key to doing it right is giving yourself grace and compassion, period. You don't have to edit. You don't have to make sure there's a period or, grammar's right. You can write on the side. I rarely go back and read it.
mm-hmm,
It's like brain dumping. So if you're anxious about anything, like one time I remember when I was anxious about something, I just got a scrap piece of paper and started to write it out. And then
mm.
help me be a light, help me be a service. I know this is temporary, but just write it out. And just the act of from my head through my heart to the pen and getting it out, I was like, okay, I just put it
So
in.
you don't have a certain time, and so it's not in the morning, it's not at night before you go to bed. It's just
I'm in
when.
I'm in the morning. That's
Okay,
when I was like going through something immediately. I needed to get it out. But
okay,
no, my routine is I get up in the morning, make my coffee or tea, and get my journal, and I write.
okay.
So it's my half an hour. And I get up a few hours early before I need
Mm-hmm,
to do my writing and to do a walk. And that goes back to loving yourself, because I know I'm worth it. I'm worth taking the time to really get to know me. It's my date. It's a date with myself every morning. And I'm telling you, Militia, it is like life changing. Just that. It costs nothing, any random pen and paper, and then just to decide what's in you. But you have, and I'm glad if you're seeing a counselor at the same time, that's great, because then you can discuss. Oh my God, look what came out. What does all that mean? You
right,
know.
right.
But it's interesting. So you have to be curious and give yourself grace and compassion, and then it'll change your whole life. I promise you. And I can't promise a lot, but I can promise that.
Curious, grace,
Compassion,
and
grace. Yep.
compassion. Okay, I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do
Good.
it.
I think you can.
I think I can do it. But it's just so it's for me. It's just a consistency. It's
Yeah.
just it's just a consistency. You'll start and don't and stop and start
You
and.
know what? That's like 90% of the people that do that. But what
Mhm,
happens is when I talk about a lot and someone gets in some pain, in a decision or a relationship or some kind of pain, then they'll go, okay, Kristy, I wrote.
mhm,
like they want to get through the pain. So they wrote. And then that's when they're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see how this is helping me. And that's
right.
how it started for me. Deep pain. I'm in
Mm,
prison. I'm in a maximum security prison in Texas. What the heck? So it started from deep pain.
yeah, that's.
Hmm.
I didn't even know that you was in a maximum security prison.
Carswell.
Oh, okay, all right. That's another story for another day. I'll leave that. But okay. But it's good to just to be here and just to talk and just to freely just
It
talk,
is, yeah.
because you're getting power when you get that knowledge. you're getting that power. You're getting, I think Paulina kind of said here, and I was looking at it, and she said, you write your own story and own it. Allow your heart and mind to flow freely.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Just,
That's right.
sometimes we be trying to get into, okay, let me get into writer's mode, or let me just get into
No.
to whatever. Just,
Yeah, they say we have 10,000 thoughts a day. 10,000. So many of them are negative. So it's just thoughts as all you're writing. Instead of having it all swirl around in here, just get it out. And then if you in the morning, you write all your stuff. Here's what I have to do. Here's what I did. Am I happy with some of my decisions yesterday? Yes, no, whatever all it is. And then it's dumped out of your brain. And you could write the things you want to do that week or the day, close it, done. And then you can move from a place of peace.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
I can't wait till you try it. I'm going to check in with you.
Hey, Kristy, guess what?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to check in with you next week.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
again. Thank
you.
you for sharing. Thank you for giving us some knowledge.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you one. I don't try to close so many times, but something come to my mind.
What?
The criminal history box on the college application.
Mhm.
That's in Oregon. Do you know if it's like all across the states now, or is it just, or how can that get started? If
That's a great question, and they can contact me, and I can help with that. So
Okay.
it started in Louisiana with Operation Restoration, and Noel Vest started doing work with them and was contracting out, trying to get different states to do it. And so it's in, boy, I used to know Washington, California, Oregon, Louisiana. There's a few more that have it.
Okay.
7,
So
I think, altogether.
definitely have them reach out
Mm-hmm.
to you. Look, we got a psychologist is online with us. She said, you're never gone too far that you can't turn around. You're never too lost that you can't be found.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yep. That's
I
so
think I need
true.
to say that again to somebody. You're never gone too far that you can't turn around. You're never too lost that you can't be found.
That's beautiful.
Wow, wow, wow.
It's hope. That's
Yeah,
hope.
yes, yes. Even right words, self-motivation, inspire your own thoughts to lead you.
Mm.
Man,
Wow. You have a smart audience, Alicia. That's right.
even right words, self-motivation, inspire your own thoughts to lead you. That's good. I like that. I like that.
That's
Wow.
great.
Thank you, Paulina. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. But thank you. Thank you. It's
Thanks,
been a
Alicia.
pleasure.
You
Um,
too.
y'all just I'm telling you, Kristy Laschober, just check her out on her Facebook
I
page.
have my book here. I'll show you. This is a perfectly flawed book, and it has room. It has room to write in it. So, see, I have pages with questions for prompts and stuff if you want to get started and
Yeah,
write.
and it'll help. Just go to her page, message her,
Yeah,
and she'll be glad to help you. I need to start now, you know. But
I'm gonna check in with you next
let me
week.
stop talking. Let me stop because I can that perfectly flawed can lead you to so many different
Great.
it can just lead you so differently. She said, I used to write words on post-its and put them on the mirror while I get ready for my day.
That's beautiful.
Yes,
I love
yes.
that. There's so many tools we can use that are free that pull the power out from us so we're not tethered to other people's decisions. If we're happy or sad, we get to harness all that power, and doing that's perfect. I love that. We support one another. Yep, 100%.
That's what we
Yes,
do.
women have to stick together because we're powerful.
You even though that's the name of your title, Perfectly Flawed, that's a movement, right? You know what I'm saying? It's a girl thing.
Yeah,
Like
it is a girl thing. Yeah, that's what I speak on. Yeah.
yeah. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who tuned in with us on
Yeah,
tonight.
thank
I hope
you.
that you you received something from tonight's podcast. I know I have, and it's just it's good. Like Paulina said, we support one another. So
Yep.
thank you for supporting me and Jesus the Key to Reentry, the compassionate advocate. Make sure you go to Kristy's page. You see her name right there, perfectly flawed. You can Google it because I Google it and I can find it. And she will help you. Sometimes, and that's a good starting point for journaling. Questions, answers, questions, answer. So if you struggle like me when it comes to that, let's check her out. Let's
Yep.
go to her. Let's get the book and let's support each other. Thank you so much. I will see you next week for another podcast. Stay on, Kristy, for 1 second.
Okay.